Good evening, it is March and we are honoring strides that have been made to have women seated in the policy-making table. You're watching Sunday Express on KBC Channel 1, and tonight later on we're going to be talking about reconstructive surgery post-FGM, where statistics indicate across the globe over 200 million women have undergone FGM. Is there hope to restore their dignity? That's a conversation that is going to be coming up in not too long. But first things first, let's look at stories that have been making headlines in the last 12 hours, including the government, through the Deputy President, Regina Gachagua, telling the countrymen, you and I, that the government is not going to abate in its fight against illicit drug abuse and illegal, alcohol consumption, and that the Deputy President, he himself, is ready to pay the ultimate price. The highlights.
Kama hii kiti itapotea kwa sababu ya kusema watoto wetu hatutakubali wauziwe sumu, niko tayari.
I will not be cowed. Deputy President Regina Gachagua says the anti-drug crusade is unstoppable and he is ready to pay the political price. We want the referee. Kenyans say they are growing impatient with the prolonged reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. An eye for an eye. A messy sibling rivalry leaves a family counting losses in Kericho County. And welcoming the holy month. Muslim faithful begin Ramadan tomorrow as Sibling preaches the usefulness of a giving heart. Good evening, this is Sunday Express and I'm Regina Manyara, just in time for comprehensive news coverage on Sunday Express. My colleague on sign language interpretation is none other than Mr. Byron Abuli. Now, Deputy President Regina Gachagua says he is ready to pay the political price in the war against drug and substance abuse. Gachagua says he will not succumb to threats and other forms of intimidation, emphasizing that the nationwide war on the vice is unstoppable. The DP warned that the government will not give in despite apparent resistance from entrepreneurs.
Deputy President Regina Gachagua says there are quarters hell-bent on scuttling the crusade against illicit brew and drugs in the country. Speaking at the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, Gateway Church in Roysambu, Nairobi, the Deputy President said it was clear that his fight against the vices had made many people uncomfortable.
Wengine wanajaribu kuniuzia uoga mimi. Oh, Deputy President, unajua hii watu ya pombe ni kali sana. Wewe na ni mtu ya kuchaguliwa. Si watu watakufukuza vile walifukuza Mutudho. So mimi niseme namna hii. Kama hii kiti itapotea kwa sababu ya kusema watoto wetu hatutakubali wauziwe sumu, niko tayari. Niko tayari. Na hakuna kiongozi yeyote gavana unajua mtu angetaka kuwa anaongoza walevi tupu.
The government believes that an all-out war on the production and sale of second-generation liquor will save the lives of millions of youth who were trapped in the vicious cycle.
The policy of President William Ruto that we will eliminate drugs and drug abuse in the Republic of Kenya. And Madam County Commissioner, your minister has spoken to the nation on behalf of the cabinet, Professor Kibiki. And he said and declared the war on drug and drug abuse.
A section of the clergy in Teso, North Busia, in throwing its weight behind the war, said the problem is being aggravated by the porousness of the country's border.
Tunasema ni janga kwa sababu Kenya hii inajulikana kama a drinking nation, na watu wengi wanapokunywa wanakosa ile productivity, kufanya kazi vizuri na pia imesambaratisha familia nyingi kuanguka kwa sababu ya ulevi kupindukia.
Meanwhile, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has reiterated the government's commitment to addressing all issues affecting all agricultural subsectors.
Mambo ya kahawa tumetoa 4 billion shillings ya cherry fund ya kusaidia wakulima. Na hapa Embu we have released about 248 million. Kama kuna society hawajapatia wakulima, governor, please check for us. We would like to know why. Kwa sababu pesa tayari wamepata. Kama haijafika kwa wakulima, iko makosa.
Your Excellency, tunajaribu sana. Saa zingine pressure iko mingi kidogo, lakini Your Excellency, saa zingine tunasukumwa kidogo, tunachanganyikiwa, lakini kwa sababu you are on call every minute, you are always guiding us and we are very happy. Your Excellency, mambo ya kahawa, the way you are guiding us, Your Excellency, you are working very hard in that program with the PSS concern.
The war on alcohol tunaendelea. Tumeshikana na county commissioner all the way to the assistant chief. Last week receive list ya 500 bars and clubs. Na hizo tumesema tunazifunga zote as we renew licenses.
The DP is set to meet representatives of avocado farmers on Tuesday for a comprehensive engagement on issues affecting the subsector.
Now, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims has expressed its gratitude to the government for the kind gesture of donating and distributing relief food for needy Muslims as they prepare for the holy month of Ramadan. The exercise kicked off today with government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Maura presiding over the distribution of the county of Nairobi. Now, SUPKEM National Chairman Hassan Olendado called on Muslim faithful to remain united and embrace generosity during this month of fasting.
As Muslim faithful across the globe prepare for the holy month of Ramadan, where fasting is prescribed for believers, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslim has lauded the government for launching the Ramadan special relief allocation and waiving taxes on importation of dates which are favorites for breaking the fast.
It's a period that we Muslims are required to inculcate the values of discipline, love, forgiveness, giving and sharing. It's a month during which we strengthen our devotion to Allah, the Almighty, reflect on our deeds in society, and seek even more divine grace.
SUPKEM also called on the faithful to not be divided over the beginning and the end of the holy month, which are marked by the sighting of the moon.
Despite the minor differences among the schools of thought over to when to commence the fast, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims calls upon the Muslim faithful to remain united.
In Nairobi County, Zakat Kenya has commenced its annual distribution of foodstuff to aid needy Muslims across the county to have decent meals as they break their fast in the evenings of the holy month.
Mwezi wa Ramadhani ni mwezi wa rahma, ni mwezi wa kuhurumiana, ni mwezi wa kushare. Yule ambaye yuko nayo ashare na yule ambaye hana.
By today, we hope to finish the distribution because tomorrow is a working day and we hope that every person who has been in the list for today's distribution receives the food today.
Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar where Swam, also known as fasting, is a pillar. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express.
Ramadan Kareem to our Muslim brothers and sisters, just to remember that the hand that gives also receives. Now, the prolonged crisis at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is taking a heavy toll on the country's democratic process, having been reduced to a skeleton upon the resignation of some of the commissioners and expiry of others' terms. The secretariat in place cannot handle the core mandate. As such, not only have the electorate in Banisa constituency gone without representation in the National Assembly for close to a year, but 12-year constitutional deadline to review boundaries and therein probability of adding more constituencies is also just weeks away before end month. Giverson Minor puts this into perspective, taking into account frantic efforts to resolve the crisis.
The residents of Banisa constituency seem to have borne the brunt of the quagmire at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, whose reconstitution has literally been the pawn in the year-long political tirade in the wake of the disputed election, denying them a member of the National Assembly for that long. Their then MP, Kulo Maalim Hassan, died on March 29th last year, and the constitutional 90 days within which they were to have a by-election has long lapsed.
The High Court was very clear. It has declared itself on what's to be done next. So our appeal is, please fast track and constitute this commission, so that the people of Banisa can have a representative.
Hakuna wakilishi wote ambaye anaenda kuwakilisha sisi huko eneo bunge ambaye mali shida ya wananchi ambaye anatutulia huko kwa bunge, hakuna mtu anatuwakilisha sisi.
Unaomba sisi kama watu ya Banisa, tafadhali wabatie sasa imbi yetu bare kamili.
The mistrust between the political divides saw their battle over IEBC's reconstitution in and out of court, with eventual preference for dialogue. This latest option portended a deal struck in the report of the National Dialogue Committee presented to President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga on Friday.
And I'm very proud that we finally have a report. And the report has already been adopted by both houses of parliament, and we are now well on course to implementing it.
I will be in touch with Honorable William Ruto after he's been given this report, has received this report, to see we can get together to ensure that the other matters which have been referred to us are dealt with, and that report is implemented in the full.
The bipartisan report recommends an amendment to the IEBC Act of 2011 to reconstitute the selection panel, increasing it from the current 7 to 9 members to accommodate a wide spectrum of stakeholders and interest groups, such as the Law Society of Kenya. To avoid a similar pitfall in future, Mandera North MP Bashir Abdullah is proposing that the IEBC CEO be empowered to conduct by-elections in absence of the commission. Besides the February High Court orders to the Nelson Makanda-led IEBC selection panel to immediately recruit the new commission, the next constituencies and ward boundaries review ought to be undertaken and completed by this month. Such a tightrope to walk. Giverson Minor, Sunday Express.
Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, is expected in Denmark on Monday to represent President William Ruto in the Danish-Africa High-Level Dialogue Summit on strengthened partnership between the Kingdom of Denmark and Africa. The High-Level Dialogue Summit seeks to address the new Danish policy anchored on 3 pillars of trade and investment, climate action, and peace, as well as security. Mudavadi will also hold bilateral meetings with the Danish Prime Minister and leading Danish investors to discuss strategies to explore untapped opportunities.
Being strengthened partnership with Africa for mutual prosperity resonates extremely well with His Excellency President Ruto's advocacy for a paradigm shift from donor-recipient partnership to a partnership at equal level for mutual benefits of all the partners.
Now to matters politics, the Public Service Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria is calling on Meru political leaders to unite and complement each other on delivering services. Speaking during the church service in Imenti, Meru County, Kuria said political differences will only deny the region development. Meanwhile, National Assembly Budget Committee Chairperson Didi Nyoro has assured coffee farmers of guaranteed returns, saying that at 6 billion shillings have been allocated to coffee Cherry Fund.
Public Service Performance and Delivery Management CS Moses Kuria was in Meru County for a church service and fundraising event, as well as to preach political unity to a divided Meru political leadership.
Mkiendelea vita ya viongozi hapa Meru, mambo itakuwa inawapita juu. Na msisahau, kama kuna kitu ya Meru ilikuwa imeandikwa ikuje Meru, mkute mnapigana. Bado si ati itaenda kukuliwa na mbwa. Kuna wengine wanagojea.
Speaking at a similar church service in Eldoret, National Assembly Budget Committee Chairperson Dindi Nyoro said the government had enhanced budgetary allocation for farm inputs.
Na ile fertilizer tunanunua tukienda mbele is what we call crop specific fertilizer. Kama ni mkulima wa mahindi, anapewa ile inastahili mahindi. Kama ni mkulima wa kahawa, anapewa ile inastahili kahawa.
Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi warned officials from the National Cereals and Produce Board against demanding bribes to serve farmers.
Kuna shida cereals. Mtu anaenda, anaandikisha anataka fertilizer, lakini usipotoa kitu, unaambiwa usijui uko na bangapi uko nyuma. Mimi nataka niwapatie onyo, na hiyo maneno tumesikia. Especially Lesos. Hiyo ukora lazima ikome.
Elsewhere in Kakamega County, a section of legislators led by Lugari MP Nambi Nabuera now want Parliament to probe the recent promotion of teachers by the Teachers Service Commission.
TSC wanakuja mbele ya kamati yetu. Watuonyeshe usawa ulioko katika majina ya promotion.
The Minister for Education, he will come to Parliament next week. Atuambie hizi interviews walifanya hapa Kakamega, watu wenye waliajiriwa walitoka wapi, because hawajatupatia majina, wameweka tu kitu inaitwa TSC number.
And the visiting East Africa Legislative Assembly members have called for more efforts to promote regional integration and development.
Integration is people-led. So people also need to take initiative. Take the trouble to find out what is East Africa all about.
The representatives led by South Sudan's Sakai Deng were speaking in Narok, where they also relished Masai roast meat and soup delicacies. Gishoku Washira, Sunday Express.
Well, as we work at getting to a first break tonight on Sunday Express, question is, who is eligible for restorative or rather reconstructive surgery post-FGM, given that this is a month of March? We are speaking matters women agenda, and FGM, though prohibited, is still being actively practiced across the globe, and very much so here in the country. Do keep it right here. That quick breather coming right up.
Ya kungoja kwenye star 570 hash kuna ploti na ni up to 1.1 million Kenyan shillings with a genuine title deed na inakungoja star 570 hash ukana shake.
毕竟信任在那个年代对我而言是想都不敢抢的奢侈品。
拿这个型号做什么？
最近掌握的核心多了，就有些不太理解的地方。咱们是国家重点保密项目，可是设备实在是太陈旧了。
可是你太单纯了。
我可以在这待一辈子的，可是你到现在。
Then your IQ is not functioning.
Sitagi sina na sitagi.
Open your eyes. Puchu puchu.
Kizungu yake ni ya kuongea kwa mdomo. Haifiki kwa mfuko yake.
Na silisikia akikwambia atakupeleka Ndubai.
Labda nipeleke hapa Isili.
You look very smart.
Hapana, hii imesonewa hapo Katonzweni, hapo tu sokoni.
Hii ni yako.
Umenipatia tu.
Hiyo ufanya nayo ile kitu wewe unataka.
It has rumbling you.
Good evening, you're watching Sunday Express. Now the management and staff of Pinewood Beach Resort and Spa in Diani, Kwale County are seeking justice months after falling victim to a daylight robbery. The aggrieved workers say despite the availability of CCTV camera footage as evidence of the crime committed by armed robbers, no action has been taken and the criminals are still at large.
Of Friday, November 17th, 2023 are fresh in the minds of workers at Pinewood Beach Resort and Spa in Diani, Kwale County. The daylight robbery was captured on CCTV cameras. A section of workers injured during the incident has visible scars as a constant reminder of the harrowing ordeal.
Mimi yule mpishi mwenye nilipigwa chini pale, nilivamiwa na watu kama 4 5 hivi, walinipiga nikiwa chini. Mpaka sasa tunavyoongea, hii alama yenye naona hapa kwa ubavu, hii ni alama yenye ni tukio ambalo lilitokea ile siku ile.
Tulipigwa na tukaumia. Na statement zikachukuliwa, sisi wenyewe tukachukuliwa, tukapelekwa sisi, tukaenda mpaka polisi, tukaandikisha statement. Washukiwa walishikwa na wakawekwa ndani.
During the attack, property worth millions of shillings was destroyed. Dozens of domestic and foreign tourists who were being accommodated at the hotel were left shaken.
Kama mimi niliumizwa meno, wengine walikatakatwa. Tuliumia sana na kulitokea majeraha mengi sana.
We need justice. Yeah. How comes that mtu anakuja to does something and thinks that he can get away with it?
Kenya Coast Tourism Association Chief Executive Officer Julius Owino says that lack of action from relevant authorities may dent the image of an already fragile tourism sector that is yet to fully recover after the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's unfortunate that up to now there is nothing that has been done, no formal arrests done, no prosecution done. So it paints a picture that someone can just walk in and beat up staff anywhere and nothing happens, which is a very bad thing.
The hotel management and the victims are appealing to the Director of Criminal Investigations to intervene and help them get justice. For Sunday Express, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
We hope that justice prevails. You can imagine having a good time on holiday and such an occurrence happens within your scope or your area. Now they say blood is thicker than water, but for 9 siblings from Chepsir, Kericho County, this has lost value in the ensuing contest for control over the 90-acre piece of land left behind by their late parents. In the wee hours of Sunday, so goons invade the land in question and lay waste to 45 acres of tea and grazing land, allegedly under the instruction of 5 sisters.
Control over the vast prime land has for some time pitted siblings against each other.
45 acres of tea have been destroyed. Napier grass, trees, exotic and indigenous.
At the center of the storm is a court ruling is said to have favored the 5 sisters against their 4 brothers, though no directive was given.
Our brother and sister are the ones who are doing these destructions.
And in a sad twist of events, alleged hired goons invaded the farm, destroying a 45-acre tea plantation and grazing land on Sunday morning to the chagrin of the aggrieved 4 brothers.
So it's you can tell I'm so emotional about this. We need to come in here. The government need to come in here and see what's going on here.
The 4 brothers are now calling for government intervention in the dispute that seemingly escalated in the past week.
And we are still in court. But our sisters and brothers came and started destroying the crops. So it's very tough.
Now we'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, women forest rangers in Taita Taveta have been hailed for the incredible work of conservation that they do and the good example they set for girls in the community. The rangers, who serve in 33 branches across Taita Taveta, vowed to continue performing their duties with utmost precision, encouraging other girls to join them in their noble cause.
The air was electric at Kasigao, Taita Taveta, as women in the community took to the roads in song and dance, all in praise of the women in uniform who conserve wildlife. As they thanked the Taita Taveta Wildlife Conservation for their efforts to incorporate women into the service, they called for more women to join in. The female conservationists, who are spread across 33 branches in Taita Taveta, could not hide their joy in reciprocation as they encouraged other girls that everything is possible.
Nasema ile mwanaume anaweza fanya, hata mimi naweza fanya. Mwanaume akienda patrol, tuko nyuma yao. Akifanya ambush ya usiku, tuko nyuma yao. Akiingia kama ni patrol ya kufanya disneying, tuko nyuma yao.
Hatusemi mwanamume ama mwanamke, tunakuja wote sasa kama wanajamii, vijana, wababa, kina mama.
During the auspicious occasion, women are also encouraged to look after their families as well as their husbands.
Waume zenu, mwanamume wapokewi, anaambiwa taratibu. Hata kama umefika na hela zako kule, tunza mumeo.
According to the locals, human-wildlife conflict has reduced in the recent days following the hard work of the rangers. Serafina Nairobi for Sunday Express.
Now, as a child, she knew she wanted to do something big when she grew up. When she joined high school, her vision became clearer, following the exposure to career mentors and role models. It was then that she set her eyes on becoming a medical doctor. This is a story of Dr. Justine Ondonyi, who works for the Neglected Disease Initiative, a non-profit organization, as filed by our reporter Nancy Okwari on the International Women's Day.
My work encompasses really identifying the needs of the populations who are infected in HIV, both children and even adults, and then looking at what are their gaps in terms of the treatment for certain diseases that affect them, and then as an organization then develop those drugs. The current drugs we are doing, we call them repurposing or making a better formulation. The drugs are already there, and I would give one example where we had very bitter drugs for children infected with HIV, and we needed a drug that is child-friendly. It can be given, it didn't need to be bitter, it did not need to be refrigerated, and also something that is easy to administer. Getting to where I am, it's a long journey actually. I must say I didn't know exactly where I would fall, but what I knew is that I wanted to be a doctor. That was my dream when I was a child. And I was lucky enough to have a very supportive mechanism that ensured that I went to school, both primary and high school. And in high school, we had mentors and role models who exposed us to the various fields and opportunities that were available. It was at that level that I realized medicine would be my call, and got into the university and pursued medicine. Thereafter, I loved children and so pursued pediatrics and child health. When we first graduated and went to the hospitals, all lady doctors would be called around as sister, you know, in other words, a nurse. And because people are not used to having lady doctors. And we would, family would tell them, thank you, but I am the doctor and I will treat you or do what is expected of me at this point. So really appreciating and helping the society to change their attitude and culture of the place of a woman. I am a mother as well. What I know, if you get into the space of science and leadership, you will the balancing this priority needs a supportive environment and supportive institutions. So workplace policies is key, where if a woman needs to go on maternity leave, that is allowable, or if motherhood duties call, then that is allowable. It also means you sort of delay when your male folks or counterparts are proceeding with increasing their education or ability to travel, ability to, take up other roles. Sometimes you sit back and say, may I first, do my other duties as I allow that. So, but to the girls, it is doable. Stay focused, love sciences. It's a beautiful place, and I feel when we empower women, when we build their capacity, they bring more.
This year's theme for International Women's Day was Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress there. So it is doable, we can do it. Now, the necessity is the mother of invention, a saying coined by Greek philosopher Plato centuries ago still holds today. However, when design is added to inventions, the outcome are products that not only solve problems or meet a need, but which bring both beauty and aesthetics in various facets of our daily lives. This year's National Design Festival was replayed with such innovative artistry. Raf Wangutusi samples some of this in the following report.
In a buzz of excitement, artists and designers converged in the Nairobi Design Weekly Festival to showcase their innovation, creativity, and resourcefulness through art, photography, and fashion to address challenges caused by globalization.
Fashion designers, a lot of the time, start their businesses as hobbies, but they don't have the business skills to make it profitable, to make it a sustainable business. We also do installations where fashion designers can show their designs like this, if you look around. And the whole point of the installations is just so that they can interact with customers, get real-time feedback, and at the same time showcase their designs.
The event, which prides itself in promoting community and cultural diversity, attracted exhibitors from different cultures, including the Turkana community.
We do portraits, we do paintings for traditional information. We get some, by doing portraits, we portray the culture of the community, Turkana community. Videography, we take some traditional weddings of Turkana, traditional ceremonies, and all that.
The festival organizers are urging Kenyan artists and designers to take advantage of the available opportunities within and outside the country.
Nairobi Design started in 2015 when I first came to Kenya as a human-centered designer working on Kenyan problems, and very quickly realized the benefits of having Kenyan designers solving Kenyan problems. Here you'll see what design can do with the Redesign Everything Challenge. That's open to the 20th of March, and that's something people can get involved in. It's got cash prizes, it's got a business accelerator in Amsterdam. So that's for all different creatives from across the industry from many African countries. We have vendors who come on the weekends to sell products. We have exhibitors who are here to showcase bigger things sometimes smaller things, and we find outdoor spaces, we find indoor spaces for them to exhibit. We also have workshop spaces.
Currently in its 9th edition, Nairobi Design Festival is taking a key role in shaping Kenya's creative economy. Raf Wangutusi, Sunday Express.
Residents of Innova village in Lugari constituency, Kakamega County, are demanding the arrest and prosecution of police officers who shot and killed 2 young men in Nairobi County. The deceased were alleged on their way to work when they fell victim to the fatal shooting.
Addressing mourners at the funeral of the two young who were shot and killed allegedly by police in Nairobi, Lugari Member of Parliament Nabii Nabwera, his Ikolomani counterpart Bernard Shinali, and Kakamega County Senator Boni Halwale supported the call for accountability and justice in the murder case.
I've decided on my own to petition Parliament to confirm all those boys so that company be closed. Sheria ya Kenya lazima tulikula kiapo na namuuliza Rais William Samoei. With due respect, you cannot preside over government where they are casualizing every job.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Agriculture has assured maize farmers that no farmer who registered for subsidized fertilizers will be left out as the planting season is set to start.
Shida ya mbolea sio hapa Kipkelion peke yake, Kenya mzima imetatuliwa na utaona vile itachaa kwa kila depot na kila pahali penye wakulima wanaenda kutoa. So wakulima wasikue na wasiwasi kwa sababu tayari serikali wametatua.
In West Pokot County, several organizations and stakeholders have called for an affirmative action to assist women from marginalized communities cope with the climate change and other emerging challenges.
Women have ventured in ushanga, that is, they do beadwork, of which they don't have proper marketing. So that one is not enough to cater for their needs. So you find education also is still a problem in our community.
And the Business and Human Rights Resource Center has highlighted the urgent need for investors to prioritize the rights of workers, indigenous people, and local communities amid reports of human rights violations.
As a country now, we are moving forward with the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, where we have domesticated the UN guiding principles on business and human rights.
Elsewhere in Nakuru County, licensed scrap metal dealers are appealing to the county's administration to reconsider a downward review of the license fee.
Tunakata license 250,000, tuliomba at least hiyo license irudishwe kama 100,000, na pia tunaomba pia governor wetu license yetu ya scrap tunalipishwa 100,000, na tunasumbuliwa sana na watu wa county. Tungeomba hiyo license irudishwe 10,000 vile ilikuwa.
Jacqueline Masharia for Sunday Express.
Shamba ni mbili, yako ni gani? Kwenye star 570 hash. Every 100 shillings unayotumia kwa Lucky Game inakupa 1 entry point ya kuingia kwenye drum ya draw, ambayo inakupa fursa ya kujishindia moja kati ya shamba hizi mbili. Mwisho wa April namtangaza mshindi wa shamba hili la 1.1 million Kenyan shillings na unapata title deed yako safi. Na mwisho wa Mei namtangaza mshindi wa shamba hili la 1.1 million Kenyan shillings, lori za mawe na mchanga. Ploti ndizo hizi. Dial star 570 hash. Title deed ndio hii. Vuka na shake.
A very good evening to you. Welcome back to Sunday Express. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. The national sevens rugby team Shujaa will face Hong Kong, China tonight in the semi-finals of the ongoing HSBC Sevens Challenger Series in Montevideo, Uruguay. The female counterparts, Kenya Lionesses, will also face Hong Kong, China in the 7th place playoff match.
Ball back over.
Uro and Onyala.
Ja advanced to the semi-finals after a narrow 7-5 victory over neighbours Uganda in the last 8. The Kenyan side was awarded a penalty try in the first half, while veteran Philip Wakorat scored an unconverted try for Uganda.
Offside, penalty advantage Kenya. Will they need it? Omondi! It's going to be a penalty try here, I think. Yep, it is. What can the giraffe produce? Casito, here's the phenomenon. Wakorat's try!
Their female counterparts, Kenya Lionesses, will face Hong Kong, China in the 7th place playoff match. Shujaa won the Challenger Cup final last year after defeating Chile 12-5. The top 4 teams in the Challenger Series standings will compete in a promotion relegation tournament alongside the bottom 4 teams from the 7th World Series in the grand final in Madrid, Spain.
Thank you, Karanja, for that report. A CAF technical committee delegation toured Buhungu Stadium, Mamboleo, Nyayo, Ulinzi Sports Complex and the Kasarani Annex that are earmarked to host the African Nations Championships in September. Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda are set to co-host the 2024 CHAN, subject to successful stadia inspections. The joint hosts will all provide one stadium to host the competition, which is contested by players who ply their trade in the continent, with a 4th venue in Zanzibar. Nambole National Stadium, New Amani Stadium, Buhungu Stadium and Benjamin Mkapa Stadium are the picked venues, while Nyayo Stadium in Nairobi is also highly considered. The CAF Technical Committee delegation kicked off their inspection on Thursday in Uganda. JQuat Assassins and Black Falcon Babes are the newly crowned 2023-2024 men and women Kenya Kabaddi Premier League champions. JQuat Assassins beat RDU 56-45, while Black Falcon Babes narrowly defeated Kayole Divas 37-32 to win the championship at Kasarani Indoor Arena.
About that pointer, because it is a stupid trying to tackle, but it's
JQuat Assassin registered a hard-fought 56-45 victory over RDU to lift the title. En route to the final, RDU defeated Githurai Cheetahs 61-54, while JQuat Assassin saw off University of Nairobi Tigers. After the league stage, the top 6 teams led by Githurai Cheetahs, JQuat Assassins, Black Falcons and University of Nairobi Tigers advanced to the playoffs. In the women's category, Black Falcons Babes narrowly beat Kayole Divas that 7-32 to bag the title. Kayole Divas overcame Kasarani Lions, while Black Falcon Babes humbled Pink Sharks in the semi-finals. Focus now shifts to Kabaddi Mtaani League and the 10th anniversary celebrations scheduled for later this month. Kingori Mwangi for Sunday Express.
Thank you, Kingori, for that report. Mombasa County Swimming Association on Sunday hosted a junior swimming championship that attracted 8 teams at Aga Khan Academy, Mombasa. The 8 clubs included Aga Khan Academy, Bandari Club, Blue Ocean Club, Mombasa Aquatics Club, and Oshwal Academy, among others. Mombasa County Swimming Association member Punjan Kanabai said the event is aimed at preparing the swimmers for the Junior National Swimming Championship Gala, slated for May this year in Mombasa. The 2-day swimming championship attracted about 245 junior swimmers aged between 4 and 11 years.
We're trying to get in more sponsors to support our events because it's a bit costly for a few swimmers to get it. So we're looking for sponsors. We're trying our best to help the swimmers as an association, the Mombasa County Swimming Association, by giving swimmers the privilege and the chances to come by paying for the events and also by training them and holding camps.
And finally, Kariobangi Sharks registered a comfortable 5-1 victory over Posta Rangers in a one-sided FKF Premier League match played at Police Sacco Stadium. In another match played at the same venue, hosts Kenya Police were held to a 1-1 draw by Muhoroni Youth.
Makwata pembezoni kulia inakatwa nzuri huko, Geoffrey Nyambo anapiga tena, pigwa kule.
Julius Masaba scored the first and the second goal for Kariobangi Sharks in the 15th and 49th minute respectively. John Makwata and Leon Otieno added a third and a fourth goal for the servicemen.
Otieno skuma, shikishwa chini, Makwata! John Makwata, Masaba anaiweka!
Fortuno Moto scored the fifth goal for Sharks in the 90th minute before Brian Otieno scored the consolation goal for Posta Rangers in added time. Posta Rangers are fourth on the log with 39 points, while Kariobangi Sharks are 13th with 27 points. In other matches, host Kenya Police were held to a 1-1 draw by Muhoroni Youth. Kakamega Homeboys beat Ulinzi Stars 2-0. Nzoia Sugar were held to a 1-1 draw by Talanta FC, while Tusker FC defeated AFC Leopards 1-0.
Si tulikuwa tunataka 3 points ndio tu cross gap hiyo ya iko na Gor ambao ndio wako number 1, but 1 point pia tunashukuru Mungu juu it was a tough game na chance zetu pia tukutumia poa leo.
Tactically tulikuwa tumework na jamaa that tunaweza attack the early stages of the game tuweze kupata bao then tuweze ku seal back, but kidogo vijana wangu wamelegea kidogo dakika mwisho wakalegeza, tukaachilia point 3 tukakuwa na moja, lakini yote kwa yote tunashukuru.
Kingori Mwangi for Sunday Express.
Kingori's report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Don't go too far. Regina Manyara will be back right after this short break. Good night.
Ili kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *812 *501#.
Kijana kanipigia simu amejawa na huzuni, amefadhaika yuhoi. Nikamuuliza kunani? Japo nimetia jitihada za mtu wa kujenga nyumba kwa mate, nikaongeza kumcha Mungu, sifanikiwi. Naishi kama lofa mlala hoi, kabwela wa madongo.
Kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *812 *501#. *812 *501#.
Good evening, this is Sunday Express. Now, statistics estimate that 200 million women and girls across the world have undergone genital mutilation and that 3 million girls are at risk of undergoing this procedure. Stakeholders are at work trying to eradicate this, retrogressive cultural practice. But then what are we doing to restore the dignity of the victims who have already gone through the cut? And that's where reconstructive surgery come into play. And tonight we have none other than Dr. Abdullahi Aden, a consultant plastic and reconstructive surgeon in studio with us. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
First things first, Ramadan Karim.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, to set the ball rolling, when you talk about reconstructive surgery, what does it entail, especially for FGM victims or those who've gone through the process?
Well, reconstructive surgery entails an attempt to sort of bring back tissues that will have semblance to the way they were before the cut. But further than that, it adds value in terms of functionality. So it's both the function and form, bringing back both the function and form of the external genitalia for those who have undergone through the cut. So that's what it entails, and we do a lot of that nowadays, and it's helping a lot of women. And we do not intend to substitute reconstructive surgery to prevention.
Okay, so prevention comes first.
Absolutely.
Reconstructive comes at the tail end.
At the tail end, yeah.
Now, is every woman or girl who has undergone the cut eligible for reconstructive surgery? If not, then what is the criteria used?
That's a valid question. Not all women are candidates for this kind of help. Some have undergone type 1. Type 1 and type 2 are the most common one. If I might just quickly go through it, type 1 is just cutting up a bit of the clitoris without necessarily cutting the labia, that's the lips. And then type 2 is maybe cutting the whole of the clitoris and the labias. And then type 3 is sealing it, you know, the way they sort of close it up and stitch it up. And type 4 is now, it's not the severe form, but type 4 is the piercing and putting, pricking and all that stuff. So basically the most common one is type 1 and type 2. That encompasses about 90% of the various people that we see. Type 3 is about 10% and is practiced by certain communities. Now, coming back to your question, who feels to have, who among the women should have these surgeries? If you have type 1 and you're a psychologically strong person and your sexual intimacy is pretty much okay, you might not need it. You might actually not need it. You don't have keloids or any complication of it. You might not need it. But if it's bothering you, then there's help. So type 2 is the one which we normally operate on type 3. And those ones usually we try to do what's called clitoral restorative surgery. We don't want to call it clitoral surgery, clitoral restorative surgery, which means we try to bring out, the clitoris is about 10, 12 centimeters. The bulk, the length of the stem is hidden down there. So there's a large scar, there's a very long scar just above the urethra. It's about 10 centimeters, sometimes 5 centimeters. So we go through that scar tissue and try to bring out the stem or the body of the clitoris and to replace what was cut. What usually the traditional fellows do is they cut what is visible. So we try to open it up, cleverly try to bring out what is remaining and replace back to sort of assemble the way it looked like. So that's the reconstructive bit. The functionality bit is to restore a sense of feelings, of intimacy. And we have data supporting that. And it's through this data that encourages us to continue these kind of surgeries.
Now, you've mentioned something that is very crucial. While we're still doing reconstructive surgery on the physical aspect, there's also a lot of psychological reconstruction, so to speak. So those who are eligible for this kind of surgery, do they also benefit from psychological support while they're going through the procedure?
Yeah, that was an oversight. The other people who qualify for this is somebody who has a lot of psychological problem, what we call post-traumatic stress distress. Almost all the patients that we see, or my colleagues see, almost all of them, the number one complaint is we feel incomplete as women.
Okay.
And that supersedes all other complaints. The first complaint is I feel incomplete. as a woman, not even anything else.
So it actually takes away a part of your essence.
Absolutely, yeah, it does take away a part of that feeling of being a complete woman. And lack of confidence, lack of dignity, you feel that you're not complete, you don't have the sense of confidence, you feel that you're not up to it with respect to your relationship with your husband or your partner, and that is the main complaint, if you look at all the lists. The other lists are things like, pain during intercourse. A lot of them do have that. The other, of course, they come late, so all the problems with really is late complications of FGM. So things like keloids, some of them have got keloids, that's hardening of the tissues and growth of the tissues. Pain during intercourse. Some of them have got pain during menses, and some of them do not. The new ones who've just got married are not able to, have intimacy with their partners, and we are forced to sort of de-infibulate, to open it up, what we call de-infibulation, because type 3 is infibulation, when they try to attempt to seal it. So the other reasons are cysts. Some of them have got as big cysts, as big as the fist of my hand here. And those are the ones that really take about 3-4 hours of surgery. You try to meticulously dissect the tissues and remove the cyst to ensure that you don't remove any clitoral tissues. So the complications are late. Those ones who come to us are people with late complications. The early complications happen at the village level or wherever it's been cut. Infections, blood loss, anemia, infections, things like some of them even die, because you've heard of cases of FGM, people die in the villages, and those are just the reported ones. We don't know those ones who have not been reported, how many have died.
But then the question is, Daktari, when you look at the statistics, as you said, because we're really bordering our conversation on statistics, it indicates that FGM happens especially to a majority who are underage, and those who would refer to as mature women. Do we have a timeline in which one can actually be eligible for reconstructive surgery?
Reconstructive surgery is advised on anybody who has attained the age of consent. Legally, that's
so it doesn't
18.
really matter if I'm 15, 16 or 30.
We wouldn't want to, do surgery, at least for now, that's how we work on. The age of consent is 18, and any woman who comes for help will be operated. And that's basically the answer to your question.
So what is the success rate of this reconstructive surgery? Have you had cases where it really doesn't, fit the client's profile?
We have had cases of severe FGM where they actually remove the entire thing, and the only thing where you leave is just the opening, the external genitalia.
So what happens in such a case?
We don't do anything, but we look for any tissues, any nerve tissue that might remain there. And try to bring that out and try to improve her self-esteem. But we might not achieve the desired function and form that we do want. But we do create sometimes, the labia minora by getting flaps, skin tissues around the genital area to mimic or to simulate the original one. Those ones, yes, we have difficulty in that, Fortunately, they're not so common. And then, of course, we've got the cysts. Those ones require surgery, whether they always come. And sometimes, recently, I had a lady who had a huge cyst, almost like a rod. And she was getting married, and the husband said, "You're not a woman." And the marriage ended there. So we've got this quite a number, and I believe they're quite common in the villages. If you trickle down and go down to the villages, unfortunately, we need to go more to the villages to diagnose some of these cases. So yes, there are some who don't, who may not help, but we try. We really try.
Now, government has really been working at, trying to eradicate this vice. We are not talking about it in 2024, but we have been talking about it for eons now. From where you sit within that value chain, what does the curve look like? Are we getting ahead of this vice, or are we having other emerging issues that are supporting this
So
vice?
let's go to the numbers. There was a study which was done by BBC the other day, I read it, through UNFPA and other organizations, WHO and all that. They're saying that the percentage of reduction of FGM in our country was from 38% to 15%. Based on my practice locally, anecdotally, I would put a question mark on that, on those numbers. I think it's way more. It's probably 50%. But we have an anti-FGM board, and I'm sure they're doing a good job in trying to get the real numbers. I personally would not take those numbers correctly. So the numbers are going down, but they're not going down as much as we would like it to be. You know, we would want this thing to be eradicated. There's absolutely no usefulness in FGM, completely.
So what do you think is actually fueling this? Because we have seen emerging issues where we're having parents who are sending over the children from all the way from abroad, coming to various parts of the country where this particular retrogressive cultural practice is ongoing. I mean, what's really fueling this? Why are we gravitating towards FGM?
Regina, if you look at this, culture is goes almost to the DNA of a community. It's so difficult to eradicate culture.
Okay.
It's ingrained in people's mind, and it is their depth. It's been there for centuries, and the only way is time. Time will remove a culture. It has to go with time. It has no value at all. There's no religion that advocates for female genital mutilation. There's this anecdotal feeling that it's only Muslims who do it, but you and I know very well that in Kenya, the Maasais do it, the Somalis do it. The Samburus do it, the Kikuyus do it. In my studies, almost 50% of the ladies who come to me are from Muranga and from Embu. Embu is massive. It's about 80%.
So it has no, it is not within a demographic.
It's not within a demographic or ethnic or religious connotation. So what happens is, it's so difficult for it to go out. It's a cultural thing, and I believe it started in Egypt, came through the Congo Belt, came to our area, but it's still practiced in West Africa and in some parts of Asia.
So there's some advocates who are saying that for us to actually do away with this particular vice, as you've said, rightfully put, it's anchored on culture, that we need to introduce an alternative rite of passage.
Yes, and there have been attempts to do that, albeit in a wrong way. You've heard of medicalization of FGM.
Yes.
It doesn't really help. It doesn't really help because still, after you do medicalization, later the ladies will still come for surgery. They are affected. They have got the post-traumatic stress and all that. So it doesn't. The only bit that it might help is maybe it's done in a sterile environment, but it should not be advocated. It doesn't help. Data has shown that it does not help at all. So I wouldn't say there's any. The Muslims have a tradition whereby you just make a prick, just to sort of look like you've done something, just like the malarial prick where you just make a prick. That might work, really it does the purpose. But the rite of passage from a young child to a woman, the masters are introducing systems whereby they kind of give them a different dress or something so that it shows symbolically that now you've become a woman. That is working, and it should be encouraged. But anything else, it's going to take quite a bit of time. Government needs to fund counties which, like Embu, Embu is some area that I've never had, but I can tell you there's a huge number of women in Embu, Rinyenjes area, and Meru area with these kind of things. And even in Muranga, people don't seem to talk about the Kikuyu community. The Kikuyu community, they still do practice FGM, and it's very unfortunate that people don't seem to know that, or the government doesn't seem to, know that.
I hope the authorities have had that. Now, as we work towards a close, the question is also when we're seeking medical services, the question is how accessible are these services? How affordable are they? Under the current structure, can I walk into a hospital using my NHIF card and still get this reconstructive surgery service?
When I introduced this particular surgery, I want to humbly say that I introduced this surgery in this country. I was the first one. We started at Mama Lucy Hospital. We operated 6. That was 2017. And the purpose was capacity building. And we trained a couple of doctors, mainly plastic surgeons as well as obstetricians, to do this. So we've got about 10 to 15 doctors who are competently able to do this kind of reconstructive surgery. We want to, sort of increase the number.
So access is there?
Access is there, but our
affordability.
Capacity and affordability. So we're trying to have counties train as many surgeons as possible to go to the counties rampant with this problem so that they can help reduce. NHIF, there's no reason why in our country NHIF should decline to cover this. And they serve the purpose. The work is to serve the community, so they must approve it. So as we come to a close, given that this month, when you talk about March, we're talking about the women agenda. You're a public surgeon and you're doing reconstructive surgery, especially to post-FGM victims. Do you think that in the near future we'll be able to get rid of this retrogressive process? In my lifetime, we might not get rid of it.
Okay.
But there is definitely
in your lifetime? Oh my
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because of the issue of culture, it's a big problem. But it has to start somewhere. A long journey, you have to start with a single step. Okay. I have a feeling that 50, 70, 100 years from now, we might completely get rid of this thing.
100 years.
Reconstructive surgery is not the option. It's education and all that. However, we've seen tradition education defying tradition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well said. That has been none other than Dr. Abdullahi Adan, a consultant plastic and reconstructive surgery surgeon there, giving his voice in regard to matters of restoring the dignity of victims who have undergone FGM. The statistics may look grim, but we are on the right path if you and I work. We're talking about private sector as well as government. You have been watching Sunday Express. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant evening ahead and a great start to the week.
Kungoja kwenye star 570 hash kuna ploti na ni up to 1.1 million Kenyan shillings with a genuine title deed na inakungoja star 570 hash ukana shake.
In the pursuit of greatness, WRC Safari Rally traverses Kenyan terrain through 5 stages. A path with diverse challenges that test the cars and the drivers. Strength, resilience, toughness, gusto, speed, and willpower against all odds. We launch with the Kasarani Super Special on Thursday, cruise through Elementaita on Saturday, and beeline to Hell's Gate on Sunday, where the winner will be crowned. Keep up with the daily news, highlights, and competitors' interviews as we race to the top. This Easter on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
毕竟信任，在那个年代，对我而言，是想都不敢想的奢侈品。
拿这个型号做什么？
最近掌握的核心多了，就有些不太理解的地方。咱们是国家重点保密项目，可是设备实在是太陈旧了。
可是你太单纯了。
我可以在这待一辈子的。可是你到现在。时间的尽头。
Hello, good people. This is Save a Life. My name is Dr. Joseph Moremi. Tunazidi to save lives. Tunazidi in transforming lives. And thank you for your support. Leo nenda Moranga. Niko Thika Road, pale Del Monte. Na